Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me here for the Taz Effect, daily news in a way you didn't know you could use. Broadcasting now on GCPR Radio, where every voice matters. Well, let's get started. There is a lot going on in the news this December 3rd. And of course, most of it is centering around our unfortunate Commander in Chief, Donald John Trump Sr. Starting off strong, federal authorities plan operation in Minnesota focusing on Somali immigrants, AP source says. Federal authorities are preparing a targeted immigration enforcement operation in Minnesota that would primarily focus on Somali immigrants living unlawfully in the United States, a move that comes as President Donald Trump has escalated rhetoric about the state's Somali community, according to a person familiar with the planning. Hey, Jen, let us not forget how the last time he decided to target a community, how that went. You all remember, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. But Sundown Sam, aka DJTS, Donald John Trump Sr., is at it again. The operation could begin in the coming days and is expected to zero in on people in the Minneapolis St. Paul area who have final orders of deportation. Minnesota has the nation's largest Somali community. Many fled the long civil war in their East African country and were drawn to the state's welcoming social programs. Newsflash. MAGA, the current predominant faction of the GOP, because let me remind you all, the GOP, just like any political party, is a collection of different factions. You all do realize that things like universal health care and social net are liked and are the key components to platforms and ideologies of factions within the GOP. Most notably, the Rockefeller Republicans. And if you think the Rockefeller Republicans are long gone, they're not. You know the lineage of the Romneys in the Republican Party? They're Rockefeller Republicans. McCain, Rockefeller Republican. And Rockefeller Republicans and most conservative Republicans enjoy business with some regulations, but they want U.S. businesses to expand abroad. And how can we expand abroad if we're disrespecting the citizens of other countries in our country? But this bigotry is causing people to girl boss and boy boss way too close to the sun, because coming out of Ohio, there's a Republican senator, an immigrant out of Colombia, that wants to remove dual citizenship. That would directly affect the first family, because Melania and Barron, the Boab kid, they have dual citizenship. Now, still staying with the Trump theme, because that seems to be the theme of this Wednesday, because Trump is wilding out in the White House. Trump says any country trafficking drugs into the U.S. could be attacked. So how much more can you attack the U.S.? Because the U.S. is the U.S.'s biggest drug problem. Like, you do realize that there is somebody right now cooking it up in the kitchen. Like, you know that, right? Okay. Like, y'all even recently released enough information that movies will be able to be made about. Documentaries are able to be. Who you agent? You know what? Can somebody let him in? You know what? They probably have tried to let him in on the secrets, but they have to be very, very careful on how they brief him and with what they brief him on. And Gabby Tolston, I know that you were trying to put things together like it was a McDonald's commercial for him. You need to do a better job because he ain't listening, girl. He ain't listening. President Donald Trump on Tuesday said any country trafficking illegal drugs into the U.S. could be attacked. Anybody that's doing that and selling it in our country is subject to attack. Oops. Trump told reporters during a cabinet meeting at the White House after raising the issue of cocaine from Colombia. I mean, if you keep cracking down on drugs, where is Donnie Jr. supposed to get his ooga booga sugar booga? Like, he like the booty meat sugar booger. Like, okay. Colombian President Gustavo Petro shot back at Trump in a post on X, arguing the South American nation destroys a drug producing laboratory every 40 minutes without missiles. Well, Trump has launched an offensive on alleged drug trafficking boats in the Caribbean and Pacific in recent months, killing dozens through targeted missile strikes. There's nothing alleged, okay? These boats, if that's so, why not bring them in for questioning? Because isn't the whole point of investigations to get to the root cause, to cut it off at the head? U.S. military forces have built up in the Caribbean with tensions ratcheting up between Trump and Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, which borders Colombia. The Trump administration alleges Maduro plays a key role in supplying illegal drugs that have killed Americans, which Maduro has denied. In recent days, Trump has flagged the possibility of U.S. military intervention into Venezuela. This is what I find interesting, because we all know how much Trump loves Putin. Like, that is his biggest man crush, okay? That is his biggest crushy crush, okay? Putin, even though still at war with Ukraine, has sent forces to Venezuela to help them. Like, just because you call it a drug dealer, Trump, doesn't make it a drug dealer. And we know that your family needs their pick-me-ups. Like, shouldn't you be negotiating a different type of deal? I'm just saying. I thought you understood the art of the deal. That this doesn't seem very beneficial. I mean, you tried to do everything else in the White House to, in the West Wing to benefit your family. But, now, Trump has been on a pardon binge. Now, does Trump know who he's pardoning? Absolutely not. Okay. One of the Svengalis that have their hand up his Bucci cat, they know who's getting pardoned, but he has absolutely no clue. But his depends are in a bunch. So, according to Newsweek, Trump says all pardons, commutations signed by Biden, auto-pen terminated. I don't think that's how that works. I don't think that's how that works at all. President Donald Trump on Tuesday said that all pardons, commutations, and other official documents signed by an auto-pen during Joe Biden's presidency are terminated, issuing a sweeping proclamation that would upend years of routine executive practice. The president posted on Truth Social any and all documents, proclamations, executive orders, memorandums, or contracts signed by order of now infamous and unauthorized auto-pen within the administration of Joseph R. Robinette Jr. See how he made that distinction? It's not just all auto-pen. It's specifically under Joe Biden, because Trump doesn't know if he's using the auto-pen or not. I'm not joking about that. Are hereby null, void, and of no further force or effect. Anyone receiving pardons, commutations, or any other legal document so signed, please be advised that said document has been fully and completely terminated and is of no legal effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So I thought thought Trump was supposed to be the POTUS of no wasteful spending. I thought Trump was supposed to be the POTUS of decreasing the bureaucracy. Everything that he's done has increased wasteful spending, increased the bureaucracy, because are we going to go out and start rearresting these people? And what about the people who have commutations, who have been part, that may have started new businesses, may have, like, what you going to do? Like, what is the, of course, there's no plan behind it. The AutoPen is a device that replicates a person's signature with precision, commonly used for high volume or ceremonial documents. Presidents of both parties have relied on it to sign letters and proclamations. Or in Trump's case, when you can't spell. Let's go past that. Trump and his allies have made a series of unfounded claims that Biden's use of the device as president invalidated his actions or indicated he was not fully aware of them. It is not known whether Biden used an AutoPen to sign pardons. Before leaving office in January, Biden issued several pardons, including for family members he said he wanted to shield from politically motivated investigations, and commuted sentences for a number of nonviolent drug offenders. Trump, known for his criticism of political rivals, has repeatedly seized on Biden's use of the AutoPen to sign official documents during his presidency. Trump has questioned Biden's mental fitness. Trump has questioned Biden's mental fitness and suggested that aides, rather than Biden himself, made key decisions. The projection is loud. 'Tis astounding. The call is coming from inside of the house, darling. It is almost it. Yeah, I did almost slip, Jay. I had to take a minute. Trump, you think that you're acing, that you're passing cognitive tests. I think you should shh. Don't talk. Don't speak. Biden and his former aides have rejected those claims, claiming that the president was fully engaged in governing. We know, because he was fully engaged in kicking Kamala's knees from up underneath her during the campaign trail. Now, unless you've been under a rock or you like to avoid the news from time to time, it's been circulating that Trump's presidential workday starts at noon Eastern Standard Time. Now, given that most of us can tell time, count hours, and we can tell how many our eyes function, even if we do need a little assistance with some spectacles, Trump is up in the wee hours every single night, truthing all over Truth Social. You know, where truth goes to die. All right? All right. And then even in meetings, he's slumbering. And you don't really see him on camera. You don't hear anything about him before a certain time. So to combat this, and in order to call it fake news, White House suddenly drops Oval Office logs claiming to show Trump's 12-hour days after reports about president's fatigue. You mean what we can see with our own eyes? Whether you got 2 or 4, like myself, we could see. We could see in Bookie Butt. The White House has released Oval Office logs reportedly showing President Donald Trump has maintained a busy schedule in recent weeks, working up to 12 hours a day as an effort to counter claims that he is slowing down with age. No, he's working. Is he working for the people? No. He's working our nerves, okay? He is working the White House Wi-Fi, okay? He is working the brakes off of Truth Social, but working for the people? Absolutely not. He's not slowing down with age. He's getting kookier with age, okay? He's getting dumber with age. And given that he started off pretty freaking stupid, it is such a feat to watch him get even more dumb. Like, really, it's impressive. It is impressive. The previously undisclosed logs, shared exclusively with the New York Post, cover a period from November 12th to November 25th, excluding weekends. They reportedly detail dozens of meetings, phone calls, and late-night dinners, providing more comprehensive providing a more comprehensive look at the president's schedule than what is publicly available. The records, which do not include unsolicited calls and early morning social media posts, indicate the Republican president is working longer hours than the average American, the NYP reported. First of all, Trump thinks that he introduced the word grocery to us because he thought that it was an old, antiquated word that he brought back up. He doesn't understand water pressure. And he thinks that if he writes something down on a piece of paper, tears it up on Air Force One, and flushes it down the toilet on the plane, that it's gone forever. Take that how you want to. The records, which do not include unsolicited calls and early morning social media posts. So what is the 12 hours of work they want us to believe that, you know what, let's continue, indicate the Republican president is working longer hours than the average American, the NYP reported. The file dump is designed to rebut a recent report from the New York Times, which concluded Trump is showing signs of fatigue based on his public schedule. The New York Times story, published on November 25th, found that Trump's public schedule is shorter than during his first term, with meetings beginning later in the day, and he has made fewer domestic trips. Well, plus don't nobody like him. And he's beginning to realize, don't nobody like him. And he really doesn't have anything else to campaign for. In his first presidency, he was like dead set on campaigning for the next presidency. Instead of doing his job, he has no more campaigns to run. When he is in public, occasionally his battery shows signs of wear, the outlet reported. During an Oval Office event that began around noon on November 6th, Mr. Trump sat behind his desk for about 20 minutes as executives standing around him talked about weight loss drugs. At one point, Mr. Trump's eyelids drooped until his eyes were almost closed, and he appeared to doze off for several... No, they didn't droop. He was asleep. Okay, the only thing we were missing was that was the only thing. At 79, Trump is the second oldest person to ever serve as president, following former President Joe Biden, who bowed out of the 2024 race amid widespread concerns over his mental and physical health. And here's the thing. The amount of people on all sides that were complaining about the age of Joe Biden that never said anything about the age, nor the lack of credentials and qualifications and intellect of Trump. I hope y'all know that we know that you're racist. I can't say that you're a misogynist, because even a misogynist will still go for Joseph Robinette Biden because he's a misogynist. But you enjoy being an overt racist, not so much a covert one. Don't push back. Those are your ideas. Roll with them. Love them. Embrace them. So, now from Minnesota to New Orleans, child. Federal agents launch immigration enforcement operations in New Orleans. Why y'all? Let's have a little bit of history, okay? The further south you go, the more the soil is drenched in the blood of those that have been genocided and marginalized by colonizers. During the days of chattel slavery, the further south an enslaved person was sent, the more heinous people were. Those ancestors are still about, especially in Louisiana. You want to go down there and terrorize immigrants when the souls of forced immigrants are still walking about. You ain't went to school nowhere. Like nowhere. Not one of your smarticle particles is firing at any type of capacity. White people, you are never going to beat the allegations of not being able to not touch stuff that you shouldn't. But you do have your popcorn ready, Jay. I got mine ready from a distance. This is something you watch from a distance. Federal agents launched a law enforcement operation in New Orleans, the Department of Homeland Security announced on December 3rd as the Trump administration expands its crackdown on illegal immigration to another Democratic-led city. Let me explain something. If y'all were so against illegal immigration, y'all wouldn't keep destabilizing other countries, forcing people to walk here. You wouldn't continuously traffic people into the United States. Epstein, Maxwell, Trump, here's looking at you. To be here. Okay, you wouldn't make it darn near impossible for people who do not want to be here not to be here. And Euro-Americans, y'all wouldn't be here. Oh, that's right. I'm not supposed to say that out loud? Okay, let's continue with the story. The agency said in a statement that the mission, dubbed Operation Catahoula Crunch, you know what? Nope. Will target criminal illegal aliens roaming free thanks to sanctuary policies. Federal officials have not said how many agents will get sent to New Orleans or how long the operation will last. Here is the thing. If all these people are criminals, why aren't you just going and being provided a list by local sheriff's departments? Why aren't you going to where criminal activity normally happens? You're not pulling up on a trap house. Like the two young ladies that violated people's privacy at H&R Block, turned over information about immigrants who were filing taxes to pay taxes in order to take the reward to go on a cruise. Okay. How you living now? How you feeling now? You all are using IRS records, work records. Where's the criminal activity here? Yeah, Catahoula Crunch. Catahoula Crunch. Yeah. The Trump administration has launched similar campaigns, often over the objection of local and state officials in Los Angeles, Chicago, Washington, and most recently, Charlotte, North Carolina. And Charlotte, North Carolina are hitting them with the bless your heart. Now come here, let me show you what an open carry. We've been waiting on this. See, the thing about it is everybody equates that second Civil War thing to the neo-Nazis of the US and all that stuff, all the good old boys. No. Y'all know who's really truly about that second Civil War life that never bought into that war of northern aggression and all of that. You know who've been waiting to redeem themselves? And everybody could get it. The Southerners that have always stood on the right side of history. They've been waiting to get their lick back. They have been waiting. Y'all done went down there and burnt up their stuff. You stole from them. You knocked them down. You gerrymandered, blockbuster, breadline, everything about their life. And they're like, oh, you coming down for round two? Bet. Bet. And then ICE has the nerve to run up in the Appalachian Hills. Baby, there ain't no rules up there. Not any that you would understand. What are you doing? You know what? I'm not even going to warn you. Keep doing it. As a matter of fact, go at night. And if you hear a sound, walk towards the sound. As a matter of fact, owls are your friend. Seek out some owls. Seek out every owl you can find. If you know, you know. Don't tell them no different. In a statement, DHS Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said that New Orleans enforcement will focus on violent criminals. What violent criminals? They homegrown. And they don't look like the people that y'all trying to profile. Allegedly, they had a huge increase in alligator activity in the great New Orleans area. Oh, Lord. Oh, man. Okay, well, Merry Christmas to the Crocs and the alligators. President Donald Trump similarly said immigration agents will target the worst of the worst violent offenders. By what? By sight? Because if they were the worst of the worst, why aren't they already in prison? Because isn't it amazing that they're saying that the failures of the judicial system, because that's what they're describing, are somehow the failures of an administration that has nothing to do with the surge of federal resources comes as New Orleans is experiencing a drop in crime rates. All of these places are experiencing a drop in crime rate. The increase in crime comes through ICE, who keeps friendly fire and messing each other up. According to city data, violent crimes, including murder, rape, and aggravated assault, were down 7% from last year and 32% from 2022, when New Orleans had the highest homicide rate in the country. Child. Now, Sleepy McGee, aka Donald John Trump Sr., was dozing in and out of his cabinet meeting that he put on the schedule for yesterday, because he enjoys typically his cabinet meetings because everybody sits around and lies to him and tells him he's great, except for Scott Bessent. Scott Bessent wants to fight everybody. Okay, he is that gay man that needs to prove that he's not a punk. Okay, he needs to prove that. But Chicago, right? Yeah, but Chicago, right? Scott has a whole husband and a kid. Okay, but he almost every day he up in somebody's face. Remember, Scott gave Musk that shiner. That Musk was like, "Oh, I was playing with my son, the algebra equation, and he popped me in the eye." Look, that little booger Riddler kid didn't punch you in the eye like that. That was a grown man hit you in the face. Okay, you cried about that in the Tesla as it drove you home or near a cliff. I don't know which one. But you know, Trump enjoys that. Usually, Kristi Noem sits there and makes up a lie that gets Trump's undercarriage just a heated and as close to it at attention as it could be. I mean, the bargain bin from Goodwill nutcrackers, I guess they still got a little something in them. I don't know. But we know about him falling asleep. He did get up and called JD Vance incompetent, which I'm not going to argue with that. JD Vance has been the vacationing POTUS, not so much the VP, but the vacationing vice, VOTUS, since about 7-8 days after they were sworn in. But taking the gloves off, Trump just held the cabinet meeting from hell. Does he know it? Because he was anyway. You can laugh or you can cry. But what you definitely cannot do without a stiff dose of irony is treat this as normal. Because the current Donald Trump featuring Pete Hegseth show, working title, were they war crimes and other questions we don't care to answer, is already stranger than satire. The other day, we learned that the United States military fired first on a suspected narcotics boat off the coast of Trinidad, and then, when 2 people managed to cling to the wreckage, fired again. This is the second time this has happened. The follow-up strike, according to reporting in the Washington Post, was ordered by an admiral following Hegseth's instructions to kill everybody. I don't know what y'all expected from somebody who has gone on the record very publicly multiple times stating that war crimes don't exist. Hegseth also lobbied, at least one that I know of, successfully to free a war criminal. That's a quote the White House denies, although Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt repeatedly said during a press conference that the second strike was intended to kill everybody on board the ships, and that the U.S. has the authority to do so because of a bizarre interpretation of national defense. Double strikes are highly controversial and seen by many as war crimes. under the most basic tenets of the laws of war, which the U.S. helped to write. You don't mow down survivors of a bombing, especially survivors who are not enemy combatants. You rescue them, you detain them, or you turn them over to law enforcement. And if something like that does happen, you investigate the people who made the call. Or, like, Switzerland is nice this time of year. Let Trump and Hegseth go find out how nice it is. Oh, you're not catching the Switzerland? That's where The Hague is located. And it's actually the ICC. The Hague is the city. Not to be nitpicky. Yes, a little bit to be nitpicky. A little bit. Or there is an alternative. If you're... I'm finding it. Hold on. Do not be drinking or eating anything in 3, 2, 1. If you're War Daddy Pete Hegseth, you take to social media and post a doctored cover of Franklin the Turtle. Yes, the picture book turtle who teaches kids manners and friendship. Reimagined, brandishing a bazooka targeting narco-terrorist. And you write the caption, for your Christmas wish list. Because yes, that's what every kid is. That's what most kids are clamoring to sit on Santa's lap and ask for. Good old war crimes. Employees of the schools that Hegseth's children attend, because there's no way they're homeschooled, okay? Because Mrs. Hegseth, the former Fox producer, she's on his neck. She went from mistress to wife. She know how he get down. She not letting him be anywhere without her there. You all are mandated reporters. Okay. You're a mandated reporter. I'd be very concerned, okay? The publisher of the series responded with shock and disgust. Franklin was never meant to promote bloodshed. Nah, Franklin is a pretty chill dude. I rocks with Franklin. Franklin is my guy. You know, Franklin. Okay, publisher Franklin, don't come for me. Okay. Franklin gives stoner vibes. Okay, Franklin is like the Woody Harrelson of children's book characters. Okay, just chill. Just staying in his own lane, all right? Teaching you a few lessons along the way, but is it really his intent? Not so much. This was a particularly awkward cabinet meeting, which opened with almost an hour of Trump meandering about the new ballroom in the White House and whether Melania gets bothered by the construction noise. The rigged election of 2020. Jesus Christ on a motorbike. It is 2025. Joe Biden, the idea that the word affordability doesn't have a definition. Yeah, y'all POTUS said that affordability doesn't have a definition, but y'all want to keep crediting him with being a mastermind behind all of these things. When are y'all gonna believe me when I said it's a bunch of Svengalis with their fist up his Bucci cat telling him what to do? Joe Biden again, a very low IQ congresswoman he doesn't like. Pick one. It's a couple. And not that they're low IQ. I'm not saying that, but there are congressional women that he just doesn't like. His physical health, the delusions of his physical health, which is apparently impeccable because he got A's on everything during his annual physical. Which one? Because even though it hasn't been a full year, he's had 2 annual physicals. Yes, I know what that sounds like, but that is a direct quote from the White House. Joe Biden again, how he made Ozempic cheaper, or as he put it, the fat drug, FAT for fat people, how he didn't get the Nobel Prize even though he deserved it more than anybody else in the world, how people love to correct me even though I'm right about everything. I had to catch myself again. There are certain words we cannot say before 8 p.m. There are certain words we cannot say before 8 p.m. There are certain words we cannot say before 8 p.m. And I won't be killing my IT twin. Joe Biden again, how the environmentally friendly Green New Deal was a scam, even though it was never implemented, because they talked about global warming and all that crap. What? Am I the one having a stroke? You know what? Why the green tiles that, yes, Joe Biden chose for the bathroom in the White House weren't very nice. Coming from the man who essentially turned the Lincoln bathroom into a morgue. Okay. Why the New York Times is a bunch of losers, and to round it all off, another description of the new ballroom. Yes, dear, go ahead and say them. You say them in the comments because I can't say the words. Oh, okay. Okay, everybody in the various chats, do me a favor. Do me, because type the words. Say all the words. All the words. Ring me up, please and thank you. I appreciate you. Right. Just go ahead. And we're not done. They then, in Trump's words, went round the room quickly to give each cabinet member a 2-minute slot in which they detailed their achievements to the cameras. I bet most of y'all have forgotten who's on the cabinet. Who's in the cabinet? And what achievements? Has anybody even really been to work? Let's not forget, Linda McMahon's achievement is to be able to make herself unemployed. Like, she fought and paid for this position to work to be unemployed. What in the Friday? What? How you? Okay. Well, Jake, there aren't. There are moments in American politics when the curtain lifts and what's shown behind is the country's raw, unfiltered IDs staring straight into the camera. This meeting was one of those moments, a 55-minute stream of consciousness performance from a president who began and ended with decor critiques and I'm finding it, y'all. I'm finding it, okay? I got the mouth of a sailor. Whew, I got to channel my daddy real quick. Decor critiques and featured a pep rally for ocean-based vigilantism in the middle. And of course, it was punctuated with a lot of painful, forced laughter from the people around the table. Couldn't be me. Couldn't. There's a temptation to laugh at all of this. That's not where the temptation lies. That is that. Jiminy crickets. Fudge buckets on the table. Willie Jim. Oh, cheese and crackers. The A-graded physical, the spelled out fat drug, the ballroom built atop of grievance, and humor is necessary. If anything, it's the pressure valve that keeps the country from simply keeling over. country from keeling over is wacky tobacco. Okay? And psych medication. Okay? Prozac likes the pro. You know, good old staples. Chamomile tea. Yeah. Sugar honey iced tea. A lot of sugar honey iced tea. But there's also danger in laughing too easily because underneath the rambling showmanship, what showmanship? What in the Saint Lucius long fermented debauchery? Where is the showmanship? This is not giving. This isn't giving Barnum and. But what? This isn't giving P.T. Barnum. Was a simple pattern. Enemies everywhere. Yeah. He sees enemies everywhere, but in the mirror. Can he take a page from Michael Jackson and see the man in the mirror? We're asking him to change his ways. The media, Democrats, global warming, congresswomen, immigrants, China, narco-terrorists, the literal definition of words, all presented as threats requiring not governance, but retribution. To him, it's one and the same. It's one and the same. Don't!
He wanted me to say it in the comments.
I tried to get through the first day. Yes, in the words of Mark Kelly, Pete Hegseth is not a serious person, but he's certainly holding a serious job. I'm gonna get fired on my first day. America is being told a story, not a Franklin the Turtle story. No, because our resident turtle is. Where is Mitch the glitchy? Mitch the glitchy Itchosaurus. But a much more narratively dishonest one, where the president is simultaneously the victim and the hero, the builder of ballrooms, and the man who will somehow abolish income tax, a charming uncle. This got to be a scheme set up by Todd. This has to be a scheme set up by Todd. This has to be a scheme set up by Todd. What you mean, a charming uncle? What in the fragmented, non-functioning frontal lobe caused someone to come up with the moniker of charming uncle for the tangerine tyrant in a toddler-esque diaper that's always filled to the brim? What in the swamp crotch, smooth brain, decreased gray matter betwixt the ears is going on here? What in the cantankerous, chaotic coitus compilation caused someone to come up with charming uncle? No, you cannot come back in and say it again. We're not supposed to say it on the air, period. That's why I said put it in the comment section. This is really going to challenge my vocabulary. And a terrifying specter who demands loyalty at all costs. But loyalty to what? Loyalty to whom? Because he's barely loyal to himself. Here, grievances are policy and insults are ideology, because insults is all he knows. Okay? He thinks that he's a mob boss. He thinks that he's Fredo, but he never finished the Godfather trilogy. Attention span and all. And the people in the room just laugh and laugh and laugh because the alternative is unthinkable. No, it's not. They're laughing because they're not laughing with him. They're laughing at him. They're using him. They're now, y'all remember Signalgate, right? Signalgate 1, Signalgate Part 2. Stazzy Farms remembers Signalgate. Did you think it was over? Oh, no. This is like a Kirk Franklin concert. It ain't over. This is the saga that never ends. It just goes on and on, my friend. Pentagon watchdog finds Hexef's use of signal post risk to U.S. personnel, AP sources say. I could have told you that. I've been trying to tell y'all that. We don't really have any security. That's why other countries are like, oh, we can't share any information with y'all anymore, because y'all hold about as much water as a colander. None at all. So yeah, he did. Trump did also forget that he had. Well, he never really hated Mom Donnie. He just got another crush on him. Just like he doesn't really hate Barry Obama. He got a man crush on him. Okay, he want to be their boo. He sees them, and he's like, I scribble X and O's in my notebook. I see myself in a zone. I get nervous when you call, so I say I'm not at home. I see your face and I hear my favorite song. Should I send an email at home? That's what plays in his head. I wonder if you know, do you have a clue? Yeah, he got crushes. That's why he came out dressed like Mamdani. Like, I wonder if he'll notice my tribute to him. He's so pretty. Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was. I continue to see it, sing it forever. But yeah, because remember, Trump tried to get rid of all the watchdogs Trump and Elon Musk tried to get rid of all the watchdogs. And SCOTUS was like, no, put them back. Stop touching it. Put it back. The Pentagon's watchdog found that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth put U.S. personnel and their mission at risk when he used a signal messaging app to convey sensitive information about a military strike against Yemen's Houthi militants, two people familiar with the findings said Wednesday. And let's not forget that they didn't stop, because he has signal on a computer that he had placed into his office, per scuttlebutt coming out of the Pentagon. And Hegseth, you eat an ungodly amount of pizza. And this is coming from somebody who's known to hyper-focus on foods to the point where they will eat it for every meal and snacks. But you surpassed me. Work on that bookie butt. Hegseth, however, has the ability to declassify material, and the report did not find he did so improperly, according to one of the people familiar with the findings who spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss the information. That person also said the report concluded that Hegseth violated Pentagon policy by using his personal device for official business, and it recommended better training for all Pentagon officials. Well, when you didn't have proper vetting, you didn't have proper anything, they don't know how to properly train anybody. He still doesn't have a full staff. Hell, we still have ambassadorships that aren't full. We're still going through the confirmation hearing process. Because remember, Australian turned American, Trump super sycophant, alpha male, I guzzle beers and eat steaks and go to Hooters with the bros. Nick Adams. make sure you check out my fanfic of him. Uh, he's supposed to be the ambassador of Malaysia. Confirmation hearings on him haven't started, especially since Trump was like, no, we're not vetting people through the FBI. Well, of course not. Kashyap Patel is too busy, redirecting personnel and resources and time to his girlfriend that nobody knew about until he started making a big deal about his girlfriend. And don't get me wrong, love who you love. I'm so happy, Kashyap, that you have a girlfriend that's okay with pretending to like you, and she lets you sniff her undercarriage every 3 to 5 business years. That's wonderful for you. Yay. Woo-hoo. But no, nobody's trying to kidnap her or anything to like get in or intimidate you or convince you to do some stuff. You don't really have any friends. We could get you to turn coat on Trump by saying that you're invited to game night on Saturday. We know this. Okay, turtle. And I'm so sorry, Kashyap, that who you thought was your buddy, Whiskey Leaks, Kegs Breath, he used your picture with a bazooka to try to clap back at people after the White House already confirmed that he's a war criminal. But turtle, it's okay. Okay. Unfortunately, you're not one of the cool turtles. You don't have any turtle power. There's no master splinter for you, Kashyap. You can say this on air, conjoined coitus. Yes, I've said it a couple times. Hegseth declined to sit for an interview with the Pentagon's Inspector General, but provided a written statement. That person said, of course, he can't handle questions. He can't. He was asked before Congress things that the SecDef should know. He had no clue. And he tried to laugh it off like, oh, I didn't know this was going to be a quiz. What did you think being drawn in front of Congress was, you mother fudge packer? You feline philanderer? You lint liquor? There's so very much wrong with me. Where we going? So ADHD was strong today. Let's plug in the MacBook before we lose power to everything. Here we go. And of course, Hegseth is going to send in. The defense secretary asserted that he was permitted to declassify information as he saw fit and only communicated details he thought would not endanger the mission. Hegseth, you did things that you didn't think were going to endanger your marriage, endanger your freedom. That whole sexual assault case. Like your judgment. But I was told I was allowed to. Do you know the scope? No, you don't know the scope of your position. You don't. The initial findings ramp up the pressure on the former Fox News Channel host after lawmakers had called for the independent inquiry into the use of the commercially available app. Here's the thing, okay? I have, there are a couple of Signal chats that I'm a part of. I have my own Signal chat, and even there's certain stuff we're not putting in there, okay? We're not. We're just no, thank you. No, thank you. Mm-mm. Get someone else to do it. Like, that's just, darlings. It's not going to work. Oops, wrong way. Ciao. Now, real quick before we come to a close, you do all remember, or maybe you don't. Taz Evolves remembers. Trump took a bunch of documents at the close of his last administration. There has been an investigation, an open case since then. Just because he ran and he won this time, they wasn't stopping nothing. Okay. He is asking a judge to continue to block the investigation. Mr. I'm innocent. I was politically persecuted. But please cover for everything. Trump asked judge to keep blocking release of final report on classified documents probe. President Donald Trump is urging the federal judge who dismissed his criminal indictment for allegedly mishandling classified documents to continue blocking the public release of former special counsel Jack Smith's final report on his investigation, according to the court filing on Tuesday. Here is the problem for Trump, not for the rest of us. Congress is like, okay, bet. Jack Smith, we're going to subpoena you to come in and speak before Congress in an official congressional hearing, and you tell us about it. And you tell us about all of the investigations that you had into Trump and his former administration. This administration and Trump, they're not good at trying to silence or get rid of the correct people. Like when somebody has the good dirt on you, you don't try to like buck up and intimidate them. You don't get rid of them. No, you placate the bee's knees out of them. Okay, you give them all the honey sauce. Yes. Okay, you don't no dry biscuits for them. Okay, they get the good layered, moist, buttery Grands biscuits. Okay, you pay for the actual Pillsbury Grands, but you give that to them. Okay, you make them some gravy from scratch. Okay, you go get you the auntie with the big arms. Okay, you get her to whip it up in the kitchen. That's what you do. You don't sit there and try to buck up. That's stupid. But stupid is as stupid does. Yes. Oh, I forgot. Some people have a problem with the M word. My bad. Slightly wet, but not dry. Hey, Amy, happy Wednesday. But no, Trump has an uncanny ability to really, and this is new. This is actually new. Historically speaking for Trump, this is new. Him not doing what's necessary to keep people quiet. Because his former CFO, he did everything he could to keep him quiet. Where he started messing up was with Michael Cohen. And I am not quite sure who got in his head or what got in his head. What new TV show or movie got in his head where he thought, like, let me increase my posturing. I'm intimidating. I can do. You're not. Like, these people keep the receipts on it. Let me remind everybody yet again, as people enter the sphere of Trump, they have consistently, and this has been corroborated by books, court transcripts, and testimonies, okay? They keep text messages, voice notes, voicemails, emails, written notes, you name it, when it comes to Trump. They have the goods on him. He has a propensity of, he thinks that he's protecting himself, kind of like Ghislaine Maxwell, like, oh, well, if I don't use my cell phone to do this, they can't trace it back to me. If you know I'm sitting right next to Babe, and I'm like, hey, let me use your phone, and I start DMing people crazy, you know it's me. Like, but I guess. Well, that concludes our very first episode officially on GCPR Radio. And if you ever want to listen to GCPR Radio, you can find us at gcpr.live. Our next show for this glorious, wonderful Wednesday will be at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. That will be my good brother in the news, the Kennedy Effect. He will go into more detail on what happens later on in the day. You can think of me as your midday check-in, and he is the evening news. After that, you can join us for Heart to Heart on GCPR Live and Rouse High Exhausted on GCPR YouTube and on TikTok. If you like what we do at GCPR, where every voice counts, you can click the link in any of our bios and shoot us an email and sponsor the network or an individual show. As far as me, you can check out all of my information, Taz J, links in my bio, and I will see you all tomorrow, same time, same place. And as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Y'all be good. Go out and get into some good trouble. But remember, nothing that requires bail in this economy. Y'all be good.